I didn't catch it from the first time you said it. 2 seconds ago.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll try
hi,
it again.
I'm Lucretia. For a little bit today, we could talk about your channel.
Thank you. It's nice to have been invited. I really appreciate it.
Well, I have interviewed you one other time, and I think back then it's just getting to know people, kind of start, have a conversation, watch the channel, and see, how things happen for them, because it's different for everybody. Traveling is different for everybody.
Yes, at that time I was just getting my YouTube channel up, and you were helping me with suggestions on how to make my platform a little bit user friendly. So
I'll tell you what, I learn something every time, almost every time I'm doing something with YouTube, because it changes, and because I'm not the most technologically astute person there is.
Me either. So it's a learn as you go program.
Yeah. So do you want to tell everybody kind of who you are, what your channel is all about, and how you came to be, first of all?
Okay. Well, of course, my name is Shirley, and I am widowed for about 8 years now. I'm 67 years old. I'll be 68 next month. And I travel primarily solo. So I started even back when I was still working. I'm a retired nurse now. But before I retired, I had purchased a teardrop trailer, and that's initially what I started with. So every chance that I got to have a few days off, I would take small trips and go on little vacations. Even took my granddaughter with me for a 2.5 week tour out to the Northwest. And it was just very enjoyable. And I knew that eventually, as time went on, that this was something that I wanted to do on a regular basis. I had a particularly rough spring one year with my teardrop. As you know, they're tiny and I couldn't stand up. And then you're outside in the elements when you're trying to cook. So I decided going full time, I needed something that was going to be more amenable to inclement weather and age and creaky joints. And so I purchased my Airstream.
I understand.
And I've been very happy with it. It suits me perfectly. It's taken me to a lot of beautiful places. And so I'm going to continue on with that. I'm well adapted to the living space, and it works for me. It's big enough. It's not too big. It tows well. And so that's what I'm going to continue.
So did you and your husband do any traveling before he passed?
It was actually a goal of ours. The traveling that we did was primarily cruises, and we did do some weekend camping with our kids and grandkids. But we were still camping in a tent back then.
Oh.
Yeah. But now the knees won't do that. So I had to upgrade. But no, he passed away before I could go full time and really travel and appreciate life.
Well, I was looking at this, my journey to full-time RV life. So what about full-time RV life attracted you?
Well, I've always loved travel. And, with my first marriage, we did a lot of moving back and forth across the country. My first husband was in the Air Force. And so we traveled quite a bit. And oftentimes I was traveling alone with the kids while he was already at an air station. And it was something that I was very comfortable with. I started doing it while I was young, while my kids were young. And so I just grew accustomed to it. Never really made me afraid. And I was very independent on my own, traveling with the two kids at that time. So it just kind of inspired me as I grew older, wanting to go other places and see other things. And now it's, it's that time in my life where I can actually do that. For the most part of my life, I spent working, taking care of a home and family. And I never really had the opportunity. We weren't rich people by any means. And so trips were short and close near home. We didn't have a lot of finances where we could, take a cruise and take the whole family or fly on a plane or whatever. It was things that were nearby.
Uh-huh.
So I want to see the rest of the country.
You set out, you have your Airstream now, you have a nice setup, you have a dually?
No.
Okay, but it's still enough vehicle for
Mhm.
your RV, right? For your
Yes,
trailer.
I tow with a Chevy Silverado 1500, which
Uh-huh.
is plenty big enough for my 20-foot little trailer. So
A couple things about that whole thing. So you're a 60-some-year-old lady who is out traveling alone. I do know you have traveled with friends. You have lots of friends out there, and you
Mhm.
camp with them and whatnot. But there's times when you're by yourself. How
Yes.
do you feel about the hooking up? And I have to give you props, by the way, and a high five and a fist bump and all that good stuff, because I watched you back into that one, and you said I think you kind of phrased it, give a pat on your back or give yourself for when you backed into that space
Yes.
at one of the last places. You did a great job.
Thank you.
There was a tree right there. Did you know there was a tree right there?
Yes. Oh, I always, whenever I get ready to park, I always park out on the road and then go scope out the site and see where I'm going and what I'm going to be doing before I actually commit to the process.
Good.
So
See, that's the smart thinking person. Do you have like a camera, or do you have you have the big mirrors? I'm pretty sure probably, because I did learn to use my mirrors, the ones that stick way out. Do you have a camera or anything that helps you?
I have a backup camera on the back of
Okay.
the Airstream. Yes.
Okay.
I don't have real big towing mirrors because my trailer is not that wide. So I just use the mirrors that came with my truck,
Yeah.
and they work just fine with what I have.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't have to go to the extra expense of adding tow mirrors.
So that's ideal. So only use what you got to use, but that ideal is having the backup camera.
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
Yes, and just learning, how to do it. It just takes a lot of practice. There's going to be times when it doesn't work out good, or you might, hit something, but you just keep trying and you just keep doing it until you get good at it.
Yeah. So have you had any close calls or anything like that where you did have a little scrape or oh no?
In my teardrop, actually.
Okay.
And those of you who have ever driven a small trailer know that they respond much more quickly than a longer trailer. So anytime you've got a longer wheelbase, it takes a little bit more maneuvering than it does when you have a short trailer and a short wheelbase, because they react really quickly. And I was taking two of my grandsons camping in Manatee Springs State Park. And as I was backing in, it was evening, it was kind of dusk and it was kind of hard to see. I actually hit the pipe for the water connection and it broke. And there was water all over the site. So we had to move to a different site. Fortunately, it didn't really damage the trailer though. So
Good. Well, good. I mean,
yeah.
probably a lesson learned in that.
Yes, absolutely.
So do you have a black tank, or do you do, as far as your bathroom goes, you've had to learn how to empty?
Yes. It has an 18-gallon black tank, which is small compared to so many others, but it's enough for me for 2 weeks at a time. So that makes it nice that I only have to move every 2 weeks,
Right.
which goes along with 14-day camping. So it works out perfect for me. It's not hard to dump on your own. It's really not. You just have to remember everything that you need to do in order not to have a big mess. So a bit about my Airstream other than the black tank. I have a 23-gallon freshwater tank, and I have a 21-gallon gray tank for my gray water to hold that. And oftentimes, if I'm going to have to dump something before the 2-week period, it's usually my gray tank. As far as my freshwater tank, I have extra storage in my truck. I have a 46-gallon water tank that sits back against the cab of my truck and provides me with 2 refills on my freshwater tank. So that works out really great.
So did you have any help learning how to do that? Would you give any tips to other people, whether it be women or men, or women traveling on their own who've never done something like this before?
I did watch some videos on YouTube, and I think that form of instruction was probably the most beneficial to me. And I'll tell you why I think that. I have had guys try to help me, but we all know that the way men think and the way women think is totally different.
Yes.
And every single one of them has a different communication style and different signals. And what they mean to them a lot of times means absolutely nothing to me. So I've come within a system of my own where, you know, everyone tries to tell me, okay, turn the wheels sharp this way, sharp that way. And it doesn't work for me. My mind works like, what part of the back end of my trailer needs to go where?
Yes.
Does the back end of my trailer need to go left on the driver's side or right to the passenger side? And I prefer that they use driver's side, passenger side, because there's no confusion. I know which way I have to turn my wheel based on the information that they give me.
Right.
It's really hard to get guys to do that, though. So I do much better when I'm backing up by myself. I just, you know, if I have to get out and go look, I get out and go look. But it's a lot easier for me to negotiate the information in my own mind, using my own.
You have got to travel. You traveled a lot of really cool places, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some. I'm going to bring some of them up and have you kind of talk about whether it's the place I show or not. Doesn't really matter. It's just share with us, if you will, about some of the places you've really enjoyed,
Okay.
and what kind of camping you did there.
Okay. Well, I can talk initially even from my part-time travel in my teardrop. One of my favorite places was when I went to Texas and visited Caprock Canyon, which had a herd of buffalo there. And then from there, I went to Palo Duro Canyon, which was absolutely fantastic. If you ever get a chance to go, I really recommend that state park. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I did a lot of camping in Utah, and one of the best places is Bryce Canyon and Zion. Really love those. And Canyonland State Park. Those are my favorites. Arches was nice. It was really beautiful. The arches were great, but I preferred Canyonlands to arches, just my own preference. Been to Glacier, went to Glacier last winter. That's absolutely gorgeous. You know, I've driven through several states. Nebraska's pretty to drive through. I've stayed in city or county parks that were free for me to stay overnight, which is always nice. Let's see, where are you at now?
I love this building.
Yes. So that was from my spring trip this year. I had gone to Ohio to see my grandson perform in a percussion competition. And I had heard about this Ohio State Reformatory previously in other years, and I was close enough. I had the opportunity, so I took it and I went, and I was really glad that I did. It was a very interesting, beautiful, sad, dark place to visit, but
Yeah.
lots of history there, and lots of interesting things to see. So I recommend it if you're in the. So this is an old historic mill in southern Missouri, and it's absolutely gorgeous. The water that flows from the spring that serviced and gave power to this place was absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
It's just a beautiful place to be. So
Yes. Did it have a what, like, if I remember right, it didn't have one of the water wheels. It went through something below.
yes, they had turbines.
Right.
So it was a hydroelectric turbine that they used to power the mill.
Right.
Simply amazing for back in the day, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just a really great place to. It was cool.
Okay.
Um, that was I had wanted to see it for quite a while, and you know, I was camping with you and a group of people, and not a lot of them were interested in going that far south in Arizona, so I kind of didn't think we're going to do it. And then when Dawn and Kevin and I finally left Yuma, we were going to be heading to Deming, New Mexico. And Kevin was like, hey, why don't we just, take a more southern route and see some of the scenery and go to Oregon Pipe? And I was like, that's great. That's fantastic. It was just a beautiful state park for a desert climate, and one that I really enjoyed a lot. So if anyone has the opportunity and they're in Arizona, I think it's well worth the drive down there. The park there was really very nice.
And the sunsets in Arizona really are gorgeous.
Yes, they are. They're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
Oh, do Bennett Springs. That's Bennett Springs is just a gorgeous state park, and this one just holds a lot of memories for me. When I was a kid, my dad, my brother, and I went with my aunt and uncle on a camping trip, and we visited several different parks, and then headed out towards Colorado.
Uh-huh.
But Bennett Springs was one of the first ones that we went to. There's Henry, and back in the back is Ken and Carla Wise. They're great people. Met them out in Yuma.
When you're traveling and you're hanging out with people like this, can you share a little bit about what that's like? Because I think most of us are always curious about that, because I did get to hang out with some people. And what's it like for you?
Well, I love camping with a group. When you're a solo camper, it can get lonely on the road by yourself, but there are times when I do enjoy being by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you have to have a group of people that you just really click with, and if you have like interests and like minds, then it makes the group a little bit more cohesive. But I've had some fantastic experiences. I first started out with Bobby and Sharon from the Nomadic Ramblers, and they mentored me through my first year of boondocking, showed me a lot of tricks and tips, and made life easier for me. I met Kim and Daryl from Some Days Here that very same year, and we became really good friends. And then, I met all kinds of different people. We camped together for quite a while. And then there are times when we all have to separate and go different ways for different. One year, because my son was in an accident and broke bones on the whole left side of his body. So I had to come and take care of him. And this year, unfortunately, I had to plan my doctor's visit in July, because the year before that I had a grandson that graduated in June. So you come home when your grandkids graduate, so life goes on, even though you're out on the road, and family is still important. So you have to, take time to be with them when you need to be with them.
Sure.
So I came home last June, saw the doctor then. And then, of course, I have to come at least once every year for him to renew my prescription so that I can get my medicine on the road.
Mhm.
So I had to make a trip home in July. And then other things have ensued, and business responsibilities, household responsibilities that I had to take care of. And so I'm kind of stuck here. And it's hot, and I don't want to go out anywhere right now because on the East Coast, it's really hard to find boondocking spots. And also at this time of year, is that your son? This time of year, you'd have to have electric to run the air conditioner.
Oh,
And I
right.
just want to go through that expense. I refuse to pay that much money to camp when I can do it much freer. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it just irks me. And especially in this time of our lives when, prices just continue to go up and up. Gas is expensive. Food is going up. Everything is going up. So I'm sitting still probably until November this year. It's killing me. It's
We've been
I
like a year and a half, and it's driving me crazy. But the medical stuff, which is one of the questions, is so considering, you're a lady over 60, and I know that things have cropped up that I didn't even know was going to crop up since I've been home. How do you handle dealing? So you go for your yearly exam and everything that we all would do, and medication up refills and whatnot. Have you had to go to an emergency room or deal with a medical condition on the road yet?
No,
Okay.
very fortunate. I'm very fortunate that I haven't had to do that. So I'll continue to pray that that continues for me for
Yes.
quite some time. I've usually been a pretty healthy individual.
Mhm.
So it makes it a little easier for me to get out on the road. My biggest battle right now is my knees, and as you get older, I've had surgery on both my knees in the past. So some days are not good.
I understand.
And in some ways it limits my mobility because I can't do a lot of steps. I can't do a lot of hiking on an uphill plane. I just can't do that anymore. It just kills my legs.
Mhm.
And so, you learn to do what you can do and get out there and do it. But as far as towing my trailer, hitching it up, and driving the truck, all those things I can do without any problems or complications. Of course, after I'm sat in the truck for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, my legs are stiff when I get out.
Yep. Yep. I
And you
hear
have
ya.
to yeah. But anyway, I'm still able to do it at this point in my life. And so I'm going to continue to do so.
Because when I was out on the road and the first couple days, I went down, I fell. I fell at Quartzsite on the ground, and it was a horrible experience.
I'm sure it was. What about with canes? Would you be able to walk with canes?
I I don't think Richard has asked me that. I've questioned that myself. So I'm thinking of getting a couple of the walking sticks. I'm
Right.
trying 2 walking sticks,
Mhm.
and seeing if that gives me that stability.
Stability.
We'll see down the road. A jetpack. Yeah, jetpack would be nice.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah. So when you're taking a couple of the walking sticks, I'm
Right.
trying 2 walking sticks,
Mhm.
and seeing if that gives me that stability.
Stability.
We'll see down the road. A jetpack. Yeah, jetpack would be nice.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah. So when you're traveling, you've been by yourself, what would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most scared you've ever been in your life? Have you ever been, where's the most scared you've ever been? Not with your vehicles, but with the surroundings, with unfamiliarity, people.
Hmm. Honestly, I can't really think of such an
Okay.
incident,
Good.
which is really good,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty cautious when I pull into a spot, and there's a lot of them I'll pass by and say, no, that doesn't look very neat. You have to use your common sense. That's the big thing. If it doesn't look good, don't go there. Go on down the road. and find a spot that you think you feel safe in. And
Mhm.
if you get there and you look around at a closer view and you're thinking, oh, this doesn't look good either, you pull back out on the road. You don't have to get out of that vehicle. No one's
Sure.
forcing you to, unless your gas tank is completely empty.
Yes.
So just common sense.
We all have to take whatever precautions we feel safe with. I keep, I have a safety mechanism that I keep with me, and I practice with it. I make sure I know I've learned how to deal with it, and lots of different things. Like I intend on having Richard and I talked about this. We're going to get some wasp spray and have on hand. And of course, we've never been in bear country, but if we ever when we go to bear country, I want to be able to have bear spray as well. So that would work as a deterrent if there was ever a problem.
Well, don't be fooled, because I do have protection. I just haven't had the need or the feeling that I needed to use it, but I have it. So it's there for me if I need it.
Good, good. So as far as traveling, I have another friend, Rometown girl, who traveled to Colorado this last season at some point, and she did a video, and she is never going back. She is terrified of the passes and the steep. Never been in a situation like that where you found you might be over your head in where you're actually driving, but you only have you to depend on, and you've got to get.
My granddaughter and I, when we were out on our trip in South Dakota, someone had given us the recommendation of a particular cave that they said they were never able to find themselves. Well, my granddaughter, nothing would do her, but we needed to go find this place. And we looked for directions. We looked up videos. We Googled it on Google Maps, and it kept taking me in different directions. And we finally got onto this one gravel road. Mind you, I was pulling a teardrop behind me.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? I don't like where this road is going. I don't know that I'm going to get there and have a place to turn around. So we passed by a farm, and I turned around and went back. It's just that simple. If you don't feel like you're going the right way, if you don't feel safe,
right,
turn around and go a different way. So we skipped that expedition and went on to our next destination.
Time with Richard when Brent was very young. He was about 3 years old, and we went to these mines that are southeast of Eugene, about 30-40 miles up in the hills. And we were in a van. And I'll tell you what, we were like that steep, and I just said, stop. Me and Brent are getting out. And we got out. I would not drive another. We walked. He turned it around, and I guided him, but I wasn't going over a cliff with nobody. I'm not.
Right.
No. No.
Well, fortunately, I've gone over mountain passes, but none of them have ever really scared me. Thankfully, I haven't been in a situation like that yet. I think the scariest road that I've been on was in my last video. I don't know if you saw that one or not, but there was a couple of bridges that I went over that were very narrow bridges. And you know how they have breaks in them for the weather, for the contracting of the pieces of concrete. They were not, you felt like every time you went over one that it was going to just open up and the bridge was going to collapse and you were going to go down in the river. It was the scariest bridge I've ever been across. And bridges don't.
Where did it go here? There is a book that somebody bought me. Oh, it was Kim from Rometown Girl, and it is about all of the Northwest and Southwest. It's a book about this big, and it's all of the passes in every single state, Northwest and Southwest. So that, because she knows that I'm terrified of heights, and I think passes qualify as heights, and so anyways, it's really, I'm going to have to make a little, a video about these books that were given to me because I've went through them and I've looked at them. So another question, I think before, a couple more questions and then I won't keep you. But do you use like a GPS of a particular kind or just on your phone, or how do you travel around like that?
I usually just Google the destination.
Okay.
And 99% of the time it's right on spot. So I haven't really encountered a problem. That I like doing it that way because I think they have the most up-to-date information on road conditions, on highways, on new exchanges and everything. It's really pretty reliable. So that's my go.
Talk to ladies. So is there something that you could, some tips or some ideas about getting started that you would feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I think that the most important thing that you can do is to make sure that this is really something you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of the best ways to do that is to start taking trips and take like maybe a 2-week trip and then try maybe a 1-month trip or 2-month trip,
Mm-hmm.
To see how you're really faring for long periods of time. And then I would graduate to maybe a 4 or 6-month trip and see if it's really going to fit your lifestyle. Is this something that you really want to continue to do? Mm-hmm. And then you have to identify what kind of a camper you want to be. Are you the kind that wants to be a resort camper? Do you only want to camp in campgrounds or state parks? What's your comfort zone? And everybody's a little bit different. I love to boondock. I think that some of the best places I've been are in boondocking situations. They're quieter. They're usually not as busy, but in real popular areas, they can be. Mm-hmm. But as a general rule, there's a lot more space between you and your neighbor. So you have some privacy and some peace and quiet. Mm-hmm. I just prefer it. And it's cheap. That's the good thing,
Yeah.
I like to do things as cheaply as I can because that saves money for other things for me.
Sure.
So,
do you have any of the passes?
Any passes? I have the Golden Age Senior Pass.
Okay.
I had the good fortune of being able to buy it when it was only $10. So I'm going to never lose that card.
I bet, yeah.
Replace it, it's $80 now.
So is that federal or state, or what is that one?
It's federal, so it covers national parks, national forests, national monuments, and it also, you can use it in Corps of Engineer parks.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And you get half off of your camping with that kind of pass in those type of parks.
Oh, wow.
So when I do camp in a campground, I prefer to find a Corps of Engineer park simply because I could save some money with that pass. But also, they're really great parks. They're spaced out a little better than what you would find in a state park. Mm-hmm. Or a resort. And resorts, they just pack them in.
Yes.
State parks, you've got a little bit more room, but in a Corps of Engineer park, you have bigger spaces.
Right.
And usually they're very, very nice. Their bathrooms and shower rooms are very nice and usually very well kept. So I really like Corps of Engineer parks.
Mm-hmm. We had a 1,000 trails that we could pay on monthly. And that was really nice coming home from Quartzsite because we were worn out. Yeah. And so I remember at one point it was a rainy time. Once we got out of Arizona and up through California a bit, and we just spent like 2 nights and just sleeping, just sleep. And so it was nice having the 1,000 trails to kind of fall back on. And I see Roy and Becky's Travels are also using 1,000 trails as well.
Yes.
It's affordable, the monthly.
Right. And it's nice, it's nice to be able to have a break. It's nice even sometimes. I love the boondock, like I said, but it's mm-hmm. nice to go and stay in a campground just for a good night's peace and quiet. And a lot of campgrounds will have laundry facilities.
Right.
So it's a good time to catch up on doing some laundry.
Sure.
You know, fill your water, dump your tank, you know, take a nice long hot shower in their shower. You know, so it has its advantages. And I do love to boondock, but that doesn't mean I don't stay in campgrounds when I want to or need to.
Mhm.
I stayed when I drove home from Missouri to Florida. I stayed in Corps of Engineer parks on the way home, until I got to Georgia, and then I stayed with some friends. So that was
Yeah, we have a Corps of Engineer park not too far from Eugene where we actually go fish once in a while. And my very last question is, how about internet? Do you have any of the new internet stuff, or how do you handle the internet when you're out traveling? Because everybody wants to know about that.
everybody does want to know about it, and I do want to get Starlink. I don't have it yet. I have a really great grandfathered in AT&T plan. I started out with my mobile services when it was Bell South Mobility, that was then bought by Singular and then by AT&T. So
boy.
I had this same phone number and pretty much the same plan since about 1994.
Wow, that is a good, yes, you've got a good grandfathered in plan.
Yeah. So I have unlimited data. I have unlimited text and messaging. And I also, so I have that on my phone and I have it on my iPad, which I'm using for this interview.
Mhm.
And I have a T-Mobile hotspot. So that's what I have. And I got those when we were out in Yuma. They had a special price and plan on them, $50 a month for 100 gigabytes.
Oh.
So that's what I use. I don't use the T-Mobile very often. It has come in handy a few places when I haven't been able to get AT&T service. But there's been times when I've had neither. The other thing that I do have is I have an AT&T plan through OnStar in my truck.
Okay.
So I have internet in the truck while I'm driving. And if I can't get internet in where I'm camping, I can just take the truck and go somewhere and have internet.
Yeah,
So,
that's nice.
Yeah.
I've had the OnStar before, and it was really, I've locked my keys in the trunk twice. So, I loved OnStar because it got me out of pickles.
Yes.
Pickles.
Yeah, it's nice to have.
Yeah. Well, Shirley, thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm excited to see women on the road by themselves. We don't have to have a male with us.
Right.
And, no matter what, it's nice to have a partner of any sort. I'm sure, you talked about the loneliness sometimes. It's just human nature for most human beings to want to have some connection. And you can have it when you want it. And then when you don't want it, you're not tied to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know that we will see you I'll see you Sunday. So